Welcome back to another episode of the Paycheck podcast. I am your host, Justice. I used to be Pay. This is the 405th best hip hop podcast in the world. And in this episode today, I want to make you think just a little bit outside of your box, a little bit outside of your comfort zone. And what I want you to do in this episode of the podcast while you're listening to it is react, not retaliate. Because a lot of times when people hear things and they shoot off their own idea in retaliation to the person, they really think they're reacting when they're not reacting. They're not listening to what was being said. They're not understanding where that person was coming from and then giving their take. They're just hearing what they said and honestly feeling a little bit attacked and then immediately retaliating. So that's the theme of this episode and honestly the theme of all my content. I want you to react, not retaliate, because I'm going to say some stuff in this video or in this episode of this podcast that you're probably not going to agree with, but that's just how I'm feeling right now. So the first thing that I have to talk about, because you can't talk about hip hop in the last couple of months without even bringing it up, is Diddy, right? And I think right now, obviously, let me get this out the way. Diddy's a monster, right? Clearly, I don't think I have to be an Einstein level genius to figure that out. I don't think I'm being, Martin Luther King by pointing that out. That's pretty obvious at this point. But I think a lot of people within the culture right now are experiencing a very unique syndrome when it comes to Diddy, and I call it Diddy derangement syndrome. And this is basically the effect of everyone talking about Diddy, everything that's going on, because a lot of the stuff just sounds ridiculous and just kind of losing their mind a little bit, losing their common sense when it comes to how we're handling the Diddy situation and all the new stuff that keeps breaking as time goes on and the new evidence of things that we're learning about and all that stuff. But I think Diddy derangement syndrome is what a lot of the media is going through right now when it comes to the Diddy situation. First and foremost, the skits. The skits got to go. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm not saying you can't make a joke about the situation because I believe any situation can be made fun of almost if you do it right. Almost any situation. So I'm not saying, dark humor or whatever, you can't do it. But like the skits where you're just like rubbing baby oil on yourself and doing a little jig with your shoulders, it's corny, bro. I'm not going to lie. The jokes have gotten a little corny. I've made some Diddy jokes. I'm not going to lie. Like, they can be funny. But it's getting to a point now where like people are just doing a little too much. Just doing a little too much with the Diddy jokes. It can be funny, but sometimes it kind of takes away from the whole situation when everything is just taken as a joke. And the only thing people are talking about with Diddy is that he's gay or possibly gay and bisexual. Like that was really the big takeaway in the beginning of the Diddy derangement syndrome that took place really starting at the beginning of this year when everyone was just, the whole no Diddy thing, right? The whole no Diddy thing is the perfect example of that because it's like, no Diddy because you're doing gay stuff. But really, we could be saying no Diddy in a whole bunch of different contexts. There's a whole bunch of contexts that you can say no Diddy in that work outside of just being gay. I think if we're going to make jokes about it, let's fully encapsulate the situation, not just hyper focus on the gay thing, right? Like no Diddy, I could say, hey, bro, I want you to work for me. I'm going to pay you $20 an hour to, I don't know, pick up these shirts from the store and take them to the post office. I need somebody to move these shirts for me. I'm going to pay you $20 an hour. No Diddy. What do I mean by no Diddy in that situation? That means I'm not going to scam you. I'm not going to finesse you out of your contract. I'm going to keep my promise. That's a major thing that people aren't talking about enough with Diddy is his contract negotiations and the way that he was really screwing over his artists. So we could start there. We could add that onto the no Diddy. Hey, I'm going to keep my word. I'm going to keep my promise. If I say I'm going to pay you $50 on this bet and I lose the bet, hey, I got you, no Diddy. Not in the gay way, but in the way of like, hey, I'm going to pay you my money or I'm going to pay you what I promised you. We could be saying no Diddy in terms of consent as well because that was a major factor of what was going on with Diddy. There wasn't a lot of consent going on. So you could say, hey, man, I met this girl, we was having a good time at the bar. Everything was cool. I took her home and, no Diddy though. No Diddy. I met this girl on Instagram. She was looking bad. I got her to come to the crib. No Diddy. Full consent. So there's a whole bunch of different aspects to the Diddy situation outside of just like he's gay, baby oil. He also used to dance. Like, people are it's just getting a little corny. I think the jokes are getting a little played out in a way. And I think that is a part of this Diddy derangement syndrome. That was just kind of like the icing on the cake, though. But I think what really is the main symptom of Diddy derangement syndrome at this point is the conspiracies. Um, the Diddy situation has allowed for conspiracy theorists within the hip hop space and really just the black community in general, and even people outside. People outside are just saying anything, but really the people who at least know of Diddy and who he used to hang around and certain things, the conspiracies are going crazy right now. People are putting anybody who's ever took a picture with Diddy into this situation. Now you're up for investigation if you ever taken a picture with Diddy. Mind you, he was one of the most famous people like in like pop culture from like the late 90s all the way up until like the early 2010s. Obviously, as he got older, he kind of phased out a little bit. He was always a big figure, but he was never like what he was back in like maybe 15, 20 years ago. Diddy was like, he was an A-list, high-level like mogul. I mean, he still was even at the time of his arrest, but like it was just different. He was a mogul. Like if you could get a picture with Diddy, you were taking a picture with Diddy. You were. So I think the conspiracy things are getting a little out of control. People like Jaguar Wright are spinning this into some crazy stuff where it's like this specific thing with Diddy is like when a broken clock is right twice a day. Like a lot of these conspiracy people have talked about Diddy as well as a whole bunch of other things, and they get 99.999999999% of the things that they say wrong, but they got this one thing right with Diddy, and that him being a monster. And so now people are going back and putting everything that they've ever said and being like, I don't know, they said this too. They were right about Diddy. That's how it goes with pretty much every conspiracy theorist right now. Whenever somebody's like, I don't know, man, like they're just kind of talking, hey, they were right about Diddy. And so this specific Diddy incident has given, it's like given them strength. It's given them the confidence that they needed to be like, no, you have to listen to me now. And some people are falling for it. The conspiracies are going crazy all over TikTok and Twitter and people literally just making up anything. It's like anything. Like I don't mind speculation, specifically when we talk about stuff like the Diddy situation, because there's so many layers to this thing, right? It's trafficking. Obviously, he's not trafficking these people by himself. He's not grabbing people off the street and putting them into a van or paying these people by himself or paying somebody to get somebody. Like, he was not doing this alone. We all understand that. That's very obvious. But when we get to the speculation that's like putting accusations on people's names, that's when I kind of back out a little bit of the conversation. You can say, hey, man, you were hanging around Diddy a lot, or this person was hanging around him a lot. You had to know something. That's one thing. But when we start putting accusations of trafficking on people is where I'm like, I don't know. That makes me a little uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to just jump out the window and say that about anybody. I think that's a little unfair. And obviously I'm referring to like Jay-Z, Beyonce, all them. Yes, people who were around Diddy. I don't know if they were super close to Diddy. I don't know if it's fair to say that in 2024. But people that were around the situation, and everyone's now just like, no, you for sure were trafficking too. You were like, I think we just need to just slow down a little bit. Slow down. It's kind of like a mob effect. Everyone is now piling onto the Diddy situation, and they're looking for more. Rightfully so. We should be looking for more. But when you just start accusing people, and there's no evidence outside of like Jaguar Wright and maybe a few TikTok trends that are going viral, I feel like we need to slow down a little bit. Like people on TikTok are just like blaming Beyonce for everything. Like everything is Beyonce's fault. Everyone in the industry is afraid of Beyonce. That's why the world goes around. That's why when Lizzo accepted her award, she had to say, thank you, Beyonce. Beyonce killed Tupac and Aaliyah. It's like, all right, man. Like, and these theories have existed for a really long time. But again, that Diddy situation gave them the strength. It emboldened them. It's like, oh my gosh, they might have been cooking. And we basically reverted ourselves back into like the 2010s, early 2010s, late 2000s, Illuminati exposed era of like social media, where everything that a celebrity does is Illuminati exposed. Blue Ivy, Beyonce and Jay-Z's child, born living under evil, Illuminati's very youngest. I remember those videos when I was a kid, seeing those and being terrified, like, oh my gosh, the Illuminati. I think that's kind of where we reverted to because of this Diddy situation. Rightfully so. People should be looking into it. We should be trying to see who's attached to this stuff. But we're just kind of throwing allegations and speculation just for the sake of it being exciting, right? Like when somebody gets arrested for trafficking, we shouldn't be like, oh yeah, Jay-Z's next. He's next. You're next. Like when there's no proof or no real anything of anything when it comes to any of these people that they're accusing of being with Diddy. There's no real proof. There's no victims. There's nobody accusing them. There's no lawsuits. There's none of that stuff. But people are just throwing names out there because they took some pictures with Diddy. They were at a party with Diddy. They used to hang out at Rockefeller with Diddy. Like, I just think that, me personally, you might disagree. You might just be ready to throw everybody in jail who's ever been a celebrity. But I feel like we just need proof. I need something for me to at least even start pointing the finger and start being like, I don't know. Like, can I at least get one victim? And I know that sounds horrible, but you understand what I'm trying to get at. I need something to hold on to besides a TikTok theory. Besides people just yelling stuff and accusing. Like, look at this. Well, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to put this in the TikTok or in the podcast, but somebody made a video like, these Beyonce theories are getting out of hand. Sorry, I just played that really loud into the mic. Shout out to Nizzy though. That was Nizzy's video. I'm gonna read you this Beyonce theory. Like, the song She Knows, people are using it like it's this thing. It's really not what people think it is. Oh, the video got deleted. Well, that's great. Now I look like an idiot trying to pull up a video that didn't exist. But people are just pulling stuff completely out of their butt, completely out of left field to throw them into the Diddy situation. And this is a serious investigation. This is a real thing. This isn't something that's just like, oh my gosh, the evil elites. No, this is sick. This is sickness. So I don't think it's fair, and I don't think it's productive to just be pointing fingers, in my opinion. And I think that we have to point out the BS when we see BS. Again, Diddy he's wrong. He's a sicko. He's going to jail. He deserves to go to jail. But, like, what are we doing, right? It gets to a point, to use a TikTok trend to my advantage here in this situation. Let me just pull up something. And I'll also say this about the Diddy situation too, as well. This is just my guess. Now we're on the speculation train. We already started it with the Jay-Z, Beyonce stuff. Now we're completely on the speculation train. My hot take, or not a hot take, but just my opinion, I think that other people will go down in this Diddy case, but I don't think it's going to be anyone that we, like, know of. I don't think it's going to be, like, a high-level celebrity. I don't think, a Jay-Z, even like a Meek Mill or like a Rick Ross. I don't think anyone besides Diddy, in terms of public figures, is going down, especially not like an Obama or or a Trump, because he used to hang out with Trump. I don't think any of that's going to happen. What I think happens here is something I think is going to be, or what I think is going to happen here is going to be very similar to Epstein, in my opinion. I think that nobody goes down besides Diddy. I mean, obviously Epstein died. Nobody goes down besides Diddy other than his associates, like close associates that we don't know of, like a Ghislaine Maxwell, right? We might get some people like that, some executives that were higher ups around Diddy, some managers, maybe an A&R or something, but nobody that we really know of. And people are just going to sit there and speculate like they do with the Epstein list. Oh my gosh, when's the Epstein list getting released? Can they release the Epstein list? People are going to be making fake lists of the Diddy list. This is the Diddy list. This is who. And it's going to be an entire thing where nothing really comes of it, but the conspiracies, that's it. The conspiracies are the only result that we get from the Diddy case. There's not going to be any big names. No Jay-Z. No Beyonce. No, what's his name? DJ Khaled. Nothing like that. It's just going to be a couple people who you never heard of before who are now stars in this trial because of who they're tied to. And I think that's going to be really disappointing for some people, but they're also going to see it as like this grand conspiracy. And let's go into these conspiracies, right? Let's talk about it, because I think there are some conspiracies there to be had, but some that make a little bit more sense than just, oh my gosh, Jay-Z's next. So Diddy was arrested by the feds, right? And people are like, oh my gosh, the feds are starting to round up Hollywood. Ooh, who did Diddy piss off? He pissed off somebody at the feds. Now they're coming to get him. They're going to come and get everybody else next. Meek Mill, watch out. This is my opinion. And this is completely speculation on my end. I know I don't like to do it, but this is my speculation. The feds arrested Diddy, so the feds clearly wanted him. I don't think the feds would arrest Jay-Z, at least not yet. If they're going to, they're not going to arrest a Jay-Z until they really want him. And I think it's clear at the moment that they don't really want him. I think if anything, if the feds are in on anything in this, like speculation, Illuminati confirmed bubble. I think it's getting footage on these celebrities because we know that Diddy has a lot of footage on people. We know he was bribing people or making them do things with footage. I think that the feds wanted that footage. And the feds having that footage and that upper hand on any of these celebrities is a lot scarier, in my opinion, than Diddy having it. Diddy having all these incriminating videos, well, not incriminating, but like publicly damaging videos, probably, let's just say, I don't know if they were doing crimes. These possibly publicly damaging videos on these people's reputation, him having those videos was just like a, you don't talk about me, I don't talk about you thing. Now, if we have the feds acting as the harbiter of these tapes and the sole sole entity controlling them, I think that's a lot more sinister. I think what the feds can do with, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. Blackmail. The feds having blackmail over a Jay-Z, a Beyonce, a Meek Mill, all those people. I think that's a lot scarier than one guy who's just like extra freaky. I know Diddy was doing crazy stuff. He blew up people's cars and stuff, but like, I think that is where we should be looking. If we're looking at conspiracies, it should be, I wonder what the feds are going to do with all that information. Because I doubt they'll just put it in a hard drive, a vault somewhere and just lock it and throw away the key and be like, all right, well, that's the Diddy evidence. I think that's a lot more sinister than, maybe Jay. No, that's what we need to be looking at. Especially because we all can acknowledge that the feds are not going to be like fair actors in this case. They're just, trying to pursue the law. They're just trying to do what they're paid for. They're just, good old boys who are protecting the United States Constitution. That's not how anyone views the feds. So if Diddy pissed somebody off at the higher ups, I think that's possible, maybe. But I think that footage is really what they want. Sure, you get Diddy off the streets, whatever, right? Like, I mean, Diddy, he's going to stop doing bad stuff. What else do you really gain from that? And I think if there is anything to gain, it's that. Because I think, and then again, this is speculation on my end. Again, my theory, let me know what you think. I think that there is a possibility that he was working with the feds, Diddy. Kanye called him a fed. Now, Kanye is not the best source of information for a lot of stuff, but I feel like he wouldn't just say that just to say that. And maybe he would. It is Kanye at the end of the day, so it's possible. But I feel like he might have been on to something there when calling Diddy a fed, because he's been running around doing stuff for a very long time. We all know that Diddy, this isn't his first rodeo in terms of people saying stuff about him, accusing him of things. This isn't the first time that this has happened to him. So, if there was anyone protecting him, it probably was the feds. And if the feds were protecting him, he probably had to work with them on certain things or agree to certain things. I'm not going the Candace Owens route of they're promoting hip gangsterism for homosexuality, prison. No, that's stupid. But I think that there is a possibility that he was working with the feds. And I think there's a possibility that a lot of these big moguls are working with the feds. If you were to ask me what's more likely, Jay-Z being a trafficker of the ranks of Diddy and Epstein, or him possibly working with the feds, I'd say that sounds a lot more realistic to me. There's a lot more to gain out of being a fed than trafficking, at least from a monetary and a power-based thing. Obviously, if you're just into that, then whatever. But I think that's a lot more likely. That some of these bigger moguls are working with the feds. And somebody like Elliot Grange, who was originally a part of a lawsuit that I think Lil Rod put out, I think Elliot Grange possibly being on some of these tapes or something like that, which we don't know. That could just be hoopla. But like if Elliot Grange hypothetically was on these tapes, he's probably tied in with the feds. I don't think that's an overstatement. So the feds going in there and getting their guys' footage and getting rid of that and getting it out of the hands of somebody like Diddy, who's a wild card, makes sense. That's realistic. That sounds like something the feds would do. That sounds like a conspiracy that I could probably at least understand. And not for the sake of saving Jay-Z. I don't care about Jay-Z. If he's a trafficker, get him too. But I think that when we're talking about conspiracies and who's next, who they're going to arrest next, people are working under the assumption that the feds are coming in just to do the law. Just to be good old, protecting the Constitution, back the blue, we're here to serve you, serve and protect. and they're going to get these people because it's justified. I don't know. That's just me personally, though. I don't see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe y'all are right, and maybe all of them are going down, and Jay-Z's next, and Kanye's next. I don't know. Maybe y'all are right, but I feel like my theory is a little bit more likely. I also think a lot of the piling on to Diddy right now is just people kind of overdoing it. Not to say that what he did wasn't terrible and didn't deserve to be piled on to, but like some people are just kind of overdoing it now, acting like we're this just society, just society, like we're just this culture that's so right and we get the people who do wrong and you can't do wrong and we'll get you and the whole culture is going to be, no, we're not. Stop it. I'm going to be real here. A lot of people are piling onto Diddy in this situation just because everyone else is doing it, because it's mob mentality. You want to pile on because everyone else is piling on. If we were all in a bubble, in our own bubble, not seeing the public reaction to this, I think a lot of people would be defending Diddy a lot more than what we see now. We've seen some celebrities do it, like I think like Faison Love or something like that, say like, oh, what, he was just being too freaky, that's why he got arrested, or Dr. Umar, what, he got arrested for being too freaky. Obviously, that's not why he got arrested, but I think that would be a lot of people's narrative if they couldn't see everyone else's reaction. I think a lot of people are faking it so hard right now that they actually care about when terrible people do stuff and they're ready to get on. That's cap. It's cap. The reaction to Diddy is the reaction of, oh my gosh, look at everyone else. I have to jump on him too now. When this first started up, people were still kind of like, I don't know, right? And I think that that's because, and honestly, I think a lot of people were more willing to jump on Diddy because he wasn't liked as much as well. Like, he wasn't super beloved at the time of, like, the Cassie lawsuit. People were already like, we don't really care about Diddy. But there's people with accusations just like Diddy, not necessarily the exact same, but, like, terrible accusations that everyone loves. So I just kind of want everyone to stop acting holier than thou, like, oh my gosh, like you cannot do bad stuff and get away with it. We will get capped. Stop it. And it's just all about how much people like you. That's really all it is at the end of the day. Because look at the reaction that people had to Chris Brown having this new documentary about, like, I guess like it was like a documentary, it's coming out soon, that's like compiling all like his alleged assault victims or whatever and telling their stories, and then a new person alleging an assault against him. And the reaction to that is, oh my God! Leave Chris Brown alone. Like, oh, he was a little boy when the whole Rihanna thing happened. He was like 20. He was a little boy when the whole Rihanna thing happened. Leave him alone. He was oh my gosh! Can anyone grow up and move past their, like, there's a visceral reaction when Chris Brown is the subject of people accusing him of things and talking about things. When we all know Chris Brown has done probably at least, let's just say we'll ballpark it half. Half of his accusations probably pretty accurate. Probably somewhat true. But people just have this visceral reaction when it comes to Chris Brown because it's not the popular thing to do right now. It's not super popular to hate on Chris Brown. Everyone loves Chris Brown. He makes great music. He can dance. He can paint. He can play basketball. He's great. We love Chris Brown. And I'm not saying this to say that there should be a hate train against Chris Brown or whatever, because, like, whatever. But, like, my point is, this holier than thou, we get the bad guys. You can't do bad stuff. Look at what we're doing to Diddy. We're taking down Diddy. Jay-Z, you're next. This whole thing is bullshit. It is. It's only because it's a right time right now to pile on Diddy. When it's not the right time to pile on somebody, nobody wants to do it. And I'm not saying this like I'm this holier than thou person myself. I understand that. I acknowledge that about myself, that I give certain people passes that I probably shouldn't have. But I'm not sitting here acting like I'm just this proper person for getting Diddy canceled. Like, what are we talking about? Everybody loves Kodak Black. You know what he pled guilty to, right? Everybody loves Uzi. Uzi's so cute. Oh my gosh, we love Uzi. Oh, look at the shoulder. He's adorable. We know what he pled guilty to, right? So my point isn't that we should be attacking all these people and burning them down, beating their backs in. My point is, let's just stop pretending. Let's just stop pretending. Let's all acknowledge that a lot of these people, a lot of these celebrities are terrible people. You don't have to defend them. You don't have to get your sword and your shield out and be like, no, you can't say anything about my Chris Brown. Well, look at the context of, well, I mean, maybe this, okay, maybe he hit her like one or two times, but I think that we need to stop getting so defensive over these horrible people. You can like their music. You can like Chris Brown. I'm not telling you to stop playing Chris Brown. I'm not telling you to even stop playing R. Kelly. If that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. My point is, we have to acknowledge at a certain point that most of these people are probably terrible people. You don't have to just wait to acknowledge it when everyone else acknowledges it. Just acknowledge it in the forefront. Understand it. When they show you they're terrible, you probably should just say, hey, I'm not saying he's the best person. I just like the music. When somebody tells their story about Chris Brown, the reaction shouldn't be, oh my God, you can't. No, Chris, no, you can't. It is what it is, bro. That's not, what do you lose by this happening to Chris Brown? Or him getting accused of, or the allegations being piled up. Maybe they are BS allegations. You can fight the BS allegations. I'm not saying that. But when the reaction is, oh my God, leave him alone. He can't, let him change. It just goes to show that people are hypocritical. They're just hypocritical, super hypocritical, and it's annoying. I'm not saying you can't support Chris Brown. Listen, I listened to King Von, or I don't listen anymore because he's gone. But like, I liked King Von's music. That man was a menace to society. He was actually a horror, like haunting the streets of Chicago. He was a menace. He was terrible. So I'm not going to sit up here and be like, you can't support this person. I'm not going to argue which is worse. Oh, well, King Von killed a couple people in the streets. Chris Brown hit a woman. Kodak did this. I only like people. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and play those games with you. But at the same time, if you come up to me and say, hey, man, Playboy Cardi, not the best person in the world. Pretty bad guy. I'd be like, you know what? You got it. You got it. I'm not going to sit here and argue it with you. I'm not going to sit here and get defensive. And I think that is something that I wanted to talk about as well. This whole Diddy thing only is happening because it's a wave and it's undeniable. You cannot deny that Diddy is wrong. If there was any room for like any bit of doubt creeping in, there would be a lot more people there would be a lot more people like Boosie who were just like, I don't know. Shout out to Boosie. Boosie is horrible, but shout out to Boosie. Boosie will defend anybody from going to jail. He will defend any person that's black. He got your back. If you ever see a celebrity do something wrong and go to jail and Boosie says they should be in jail, just know they are the worst human being on the planet. That man will fight for anybody. He's fighting for R. Kelly. He's fighting for Diddy. Like, I don't know what the wall is with Boosie. Like, what do you have to do in order for Boosie to not come out and defend you as like a criminal? Like, what, like, to keep you out of jail? Like, oh, come on, man. He just like, what is the limit? But I'm getting off topic. But like, even when I look at that lawyer, Tony Busby, right? The man created a Diddy hotline. A Diddy hotline. So you can call the hotline, tell him your story, and he'll represent you in a lawsuit. He has over 100, or he said he's bringing 120 lawsuits against Diddy. He's representing them all. That's a cash grab, bro. I'm sorry. Like, yes, a lot of those victims probably are real victims, but you created a hotline and you're representing 120 people. That's just, like, I'm not saying, again, Diddy's innocent. I'm not saying these aren't real victims in certain cases. But I can call somebody out for being a bullshitter when they are one. That is, come on, bro. He said he got over 3,200 calls. 3,200 calls. Like, come on. Like, Diddy is a horrible human being who's done horrible things and deserves to be in prison for life, probably. But really, you created a hotline. That just feels like you taken away from the situation by platforming all these people who call in this hotline who probably don't got a whole bunch of nothing. Maybe some of them do, but like, it feels like you taken away from the real victims, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Diddy really did victimize over 3,000 people that all called this specific hotline, but like, you know what I mean? It just doesn't feel likely. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, I don't know. But I just feel like it's a little far-fetched, in my opinion. But still, Diddy's wrong. I'm not saying he wasn't. Just I think some people are starting to take advantage of the situation. And some people are riding a wave rather than just being real and saying, listen, we're piling on Diddy because nobody likes Diddy. Sorry. All right, to get on to my next topic, I just want to talk about this for a little bit because I think it's kind of funny. And I heard an interesting conversation, and I didn't really know where to go with it. So Offset and Cardi B, right? They do their typical thing. Normally, it's just Offset cheats on Cardi. Cardi crashes out on social media. They go back and forth for a little bit. Couple months later, next federal holiday, they're coupled up. Oh my gosh, Offset. Excuse me. Offset's the best baby daddy in the world. He bought me these flowers. I love him. Normally, that's what the cycle is. But this time, it was a little bit different. Offset hadn't cheated. Or, I won't say that. I don't know. He probably did. But, like, it wasn't, this didn't spur because of Offset cheating, at least directly. Cardi B was just on live popping it, talking crazy about how she's single and she wants to mingle and all this stuff because her and Offset officially got divorced. And Offset joins in and says, you did you know what while you were pregnant with another man. That sets her off. She sends a tweet, and I did. The whole thing blows up. They're going crazy on social media. And the funny thing is, when it comes to like Offset and Cardi B, is like, people will always say, like, whenever this happens, because it happens all the time, at least 3 or 4 times a year when Cardi B kind of crashes out on social media, typically because Offset cheated on her. But it's like, people will say, stop paying attention to this, y'all. Like, this is just album promo. Like, they just trying to drop some new music. But the funny thing is, Cardi B has not dropped an album in 6 years. It's almost never album or music promo for Cardi B. Now, Offset has, he puts out stuff every now and then. But for Cardi, this is never music promo because she's never dropping music. Every time somebody's like, bro, this is just music promo. This is, stop paying attention. But she doesn't drop music. She doesn't. So this is clearly just them crashing out, doing their thing. Somebody on Twitter made a thread of like all the times he cheated on her, which I thought was pretty funny, pretty entertaining. It was like, I counted, it was like 15, 16 times. And those were just the public instances where he got caught. So I thought that was pretty funny. But the conversation surrounding, did she really do that thing? I honestly don't think she did. That whole accusation that Offset made about her. I think that Cardi B, I think she's from the Bronx. No. Or is she from Queens? No, she's from the Bronx, I'm pretty sure. So she's from the Bronx. She's, kind of ghetto, kind of ratchet, whatever, right? But I think that she is a very loyal character, at least. Like, I think she has that in her. I think she's kind of that type of person where there's just a certain line with her that she won't cross. But I do think that there's certain things that she will say. I think she's the type of person that when she gets mad, will say and do whatever to make you upset. But I don't think she actually went and did it. So if you accuse them of doing something, they'll say, yeah, I did it, even though she didn't do it. That's my opinion. We obviously we only have her saying she did do it. But I feel like that's the type of person Cardi B is, that she really didn't do these things, but she said she did because he accused him, or he accused her of doing it on a public platform, trying to like embarrass her. So she was like, okay, and what? I did. I think that's really more of what happened than her actually going to do that. But I saw a clip of like the Rory and Mal podcast, and one of the co-hosts, it was a girl, and she was talking to Rory. And this is a weird conversation to have, but like, whatever. Like, I'm just ranting at this point. They were talking about why it was wrong for her, possibly, let's just say hypothetically, she did do that, 100%. They were talking about why that was wrong. And she said, if her and the other person are being safe, they're both tested, wearing protection, what's the problem? And Rory was like, nah, man, like, nah, I don't care, bro, that's wrong. And everybody was kind of in agreement. And I am in agreement. Like, yeah, it is wrong. But, like, am I weird for saying, like, I don't have a valid argument against it? At least at the moment. Nothing that I can say is just like, yeah, you shouldn't do that because A, B, C, and D, right? Like, when somebody's, like, cheating on a partner, it's like, yeah, it's wrong because you promised that person you were going to be with them and only them, and now you're subjecting yourself to being with other people, and you're breaking that promise to that person. You told them that you love them for that. Like, it makes sense, right? But with that in particular, they weren't together. So it wasn't like she cheated on him, but it's just like, it's wrong, but I can't explain why. Like, I can't give you a reason why. Like, it's just like kind of taboo. Like, I can't perfectly articulate why what she possibly may have did was wrong if they're not together and they were safe. If her and Offset weren't together and the other person she was with was safe. Like, I don't know why. I can't give you a real reason. I could say like, oh, because you're messing with the spirit and the spirit is getting it. But that's like, all right, come on. Like, not everyone believes in that. So on like an objective level where there's something that we can all agree on, or at least somewhat agree on morally, we would all say that action is wrong, but it's like, why? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just weird. Like, I don't have a good reason. So maybe y'all could leave some reasons in the comments, because I understand that that's my viewpoint on the situation, but I couldn't really fully explain to you why. Like, it's just like, ew. Like, that's the furthest of my explanation when it comes to why I think it's wrong. Ew, that's gross. That's just, I don't know. That's just kind of interesting. I wanted to throw that in there. Wanted to see what y'all thought. I know you're going to think I'm crazy for saying that, but like, honestly, genuinely, like, can somebody give a real answer that's not like the spirit of the father and the spirit of the other man mixing and the spirit of the woman? Like, like something that's really like, I mean, like, women are at their most vulnerable, but like at the same time, I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments. I don't know. Moving on. I'm not going to stick on that too long. DDG and Halle, man. DDG broke up, or him and Halle broke up. And I honestly just feel kind of bad for DDG. Not because he broke up with, or not because him and his girl didn't work out. Who cares, right? The thing with DDG is that he is one of the most hated people on the internet, but he's literally never done anything like extremely wrong. Like, the worst thing that he's done is like drop some music people don't like, beef with a couple YouTubers over like nothing, YouTubers and streamers, and like maybe possibly there's a chance he cheated on Halle. Nobody even knows. There's like the little DM with Ruby Rose. But besides that, DDG has not really done anything in general to anyone. But he's one of the most hated people on the internet, even outside like the DDG and Halle situation. Like, there are so many different pockets of the internet that hate DDG when he really hasn't done anything, but there's so many different pockets of the internet that hate DDG, and it's all for completely different reasons, which is honestly remarkable, right? Like, we look at like the shade room dwellers, that side of social media. They hate him because they feel like he's not right for Halle. He's beneath her. He doesn't treat her right. He's a dog, right? That's why they don't like him. Then you look at like the streaming side of world. They don't like DDG because of like his beef with like Blackboy Max and his beef with Bruce Drop Him Off. The streaming side of world doesn't like DDG either. Outside, like, obviously his fans love him, but like, you get what I'm saying. Then you look at like the YouTube side of things. The YouTube world doesn't really like DDG because of Soluminati. Most YouTube fans who are in like the WL community on YouTube don't really like DDG because of his beef with So, and they feel like he lost the beef and he was wrong or whatever, right? Then you move on to like the rap community, the people in like, let's just say, and I mean the rap, like rap TV, like academics fans, like, though that community of people, they don't like DDG either because they think his music sucks. So when he's posted on academics, rap TV, Say Cheese, they're hating on his music too. They just don't like him because of his music. Like, there's so many different avenues of people that just really don't like this man, and he hasn't even done anything. Like, he hasn't beat up any woman. He hasn't killed anybody. He hasn't taken advantage. Like, he hasn't done anything. He's just been like himself, and people just really hate this guy, and it's just kind of funny. I just wanted to point that out. But also just in general in the Halle situation, like, he's going to be the bad guy. He's the guy that they saw as lesser than her the whole time, really. Even though DDG has been a name around longer than her. Like, he's been a name on the internet. Like, if you didn't know DDG before Halle, you just weren't on like a specific portion of YouTube, and that's fine. I'm not saying you had to know DDG, but like, he had like millions of subs before he even uttered the name Halle Bailey, before she was even a thing, really. Like, this man has been a YouTuber for a very long time. I'm not the biggest fan of DDG, you know. I'd watch some of his videos every now and then, but like, to act like he's a nobody is ridiculous. But a lot of people who aren't like tapped into that scene didn't know who DDG was. And they, you know, obviously Halle's super successful. She got her music career, and then obviously she was the Little Mermaid, which is like crazy. So he was seen as like the lesser of the two. And when you're in these relationships, these social media relationships, all of your audience is women most of the time. Like, men don't really interact with that content too much. All of your audience is women. And so obviously they're going to back their own. They're going to back their girl. Like, that's them. They're going to back the person that looks like them rather than, you know, DDG. And also, he was the lesser half in their opinion, which is really stupid. But like, when you are the lesser half as a man, you got to treat your woman like perfectly. You got to buy her bags, buy her a car, fly her out. You got to do all these crazy social media stunts to win over the social media fans, the shade room dwellers. And when they felt like he wasn't treating her right with the whole Ruby Rose situation, he lost them forever. That was it. They're like, oh my gosh, you got this girl. You got her pregnant at the height of her career. She's messing with you, helping you out, doing charity. And then you gonna treat her like this. After that, it was over for him. It was done. That community was done with him. Wiped their hands at DDG. And now that they're broken up, it's just going to be even worse, especially because now they have a kid together. And that whole community is just going to be attacking DDG. And the thing with men and women is that women are much better fans than men. They're going to interact with your content more. They're going to comment more. They're going to buy more tickets. They're more likely to do all the fan stuff than men are, because I guess there's just like a pride factor there that men have that women don't really care for. They will support who they want to support. So in his comment section, it's mostly going to be women dogging him. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be women leaving comments about him. We don't even care about you, bro. Where's Halo? Why this is why Halle left you? Why did you even get like? And he's kind of been, he hasn't fully started his crash out on social media, but I've seen him crack a little bit. There's cracks showing, and I think that we could be very close to a DDG crash out. I hope not, but I can kind of sense it. He's cracking a little bit due to all the hate, because this isn't like breaking up with Kennedy on YouTube or whatever, or whoever else he broke up with. I think he dated a girl named Diamond. I don't know. That might have been his cousin. I don't know. I don't know all the names of DDG's exes. I'm sorry. But there's a difference between breaking up with a YouTube girl with maybe 200,000 subscribers and him having a breakup with Halle Bailey. So this is probably going to be really rough for him in terms of public perception over the next few months. Hopefully he can get through it without crashing out too bad. But yeah, he just needs to get offline. And then to finish it off with last couple things, Dirk is dropping a album. He just did like a little bait and switch. We thought that we were getting Love Songs for the Streets 3, but actually, I don't even remember what the actual title of the album is. Let me pull it up because, yeah, a track list leaked for Love Songs for the Streets 3, and it had like Ice Show Speed in it and Kai Cenat, and obviously it was fake, but like, Dirk's whole thing now has been bait and switching. That's how he's been promoting his albums. He'll say a date for his album dropping. That date comes, he just drops a single with a music video and then pushes the album back 2 weeks and then drops. Like, he's been just doing the bait and switch thing the last couple of years. But now he's dropping a project called Deep Thoughts, and he dropped a single, Monitoring Me, and I'm not gonna lie, it was mid. I thought it was very, very mid. And Dirk was one of my favorite rappers from like 2018 to 2021, around the pandemic era. Like, Dirk was consistently in my top 5 most listened to, but as of recently, dog, I'm not gonna lie, he just has not been hitting the same. Like, his verses a lot of the times feel uninspired, they feel kind of stale, and I just feel like he's losing me. And I really think that this album will be kind of make or break in terms of my fandom of Dirk going into the future, because he used to be one of my guys. 18 to 21, those years, not my age, but in terms of like those years, 2018 to 2021, Dirk couldn't miss, in my opinion. He was one of the guys. But as of recently, man, it's just been kind of rough. And this single didn't give me any hope going into his album. So hopefully it's good. But yeah, it was just a little underwhelming to me. Playboi Carti just dropped his hit, his new song Timeless. Shout out to him. That's cool. Him in The Weeknd. Hopefully the album's coming soon. At this point, I feel like I'm Playboi Carti'd out to a certain extent. But I'm sure I'm going to end up making a video on him in a couple weeks just because. And then lastly, I want to finish up with Ken Carson, right? Ken Carson recently got this new tattoo, and it's basically just a giant pentagram on his chest. And to this, I have to say, I'm getting kind of tired of the satanic imagery. Ooh, look at me, upside down. I don't know. It's kind of corny to me at this point. And I feel like you can't use the satanic panic thing anymore. Like, it's just kind of boring now. Everyone does it. Everyone flirts with it. Ooh, 666, the devil, pentagram. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't move me anymore. It's not as enticing, and oh my gosh, is he really? I don't care anymore, bro. Like, at this point, I need you to just go all in with it. Like, stop appropriating Marilyn Manson's culture. Okay, I'm gonna just start calling you guys cultural appropriators when you start doing the devil stuff, the upside down cross, like, cause you're not really a Satanist. Like, you're not, bro. Let's be real. Like, if you are, I need you to go on live on Instagram doing like a satanic ritual. Maybe you could sacrifice a goat or something on Instagram live. I don't know. Speak in some tongues, shoot some fire out of your eyes, do something satanic. I'm sick of all these posers, man. Stop appropriating Marilyn Manson's culture. All right? I'm sick of it. When you go up there and you get an award, I don't want to hear you say thank God. Thank the man downstairs. I want to say thank you. I want y'all to say thank you to the man downstairs. I want to hear it. Because at this point, I'm just tired of it, bro. Like, we get it, y'all. Devil, oh my gosh, upside down cross, oh my gosh, pentagram. Oh, like, I'm tired of it, bro. Like, it's whatever at this point. But I think that's going to be the end of this episode. I think this was a fairly decent episode of the podcast. If you agree, leave some comments, do all this stuff. I greatly appreciate it. I go by the name of Pay. Be back for next week's episode. I think there should be an episode next week. If not, whatever. I appreciate you if you made it this far. Make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. Share the podcast. Have a good day. I go by the name of Pay. Peace.